Tapping is achieved by using the index or middle finger of your picking hand to hammer or tap a fret, producing a pitch. Then you pull off to an open or a fretted note. The musical notation for tapping is a plus sign or a T. Now this here is my workhorse. It's a Gibson J150, and it's been all over the country with me, so it's got a lot of battle scars. You'll see I'm wearing away a new sound hole right here with my picking hand. But I wanted to sneak it into this video, but also I wanted to demonstrate that tapping isn't just for electric guitar. You can achieve some really great sound effects by using this technique with acoustic guitar. Just to give you a slow exercise, something that's really repetitive and something that you can easily get the hang of doing. Now, I use my middle finger to tap because a lot of times I'm using a pick. I'll use a pick to strum or maybe to play individual notes. And some people will actually put the pick down and then go to their index finger to tap. Or I've seen other people like Eddie Van Halen take the pick and put it underneath their index finger, or their middle finger, so they can use their index finger to tap again. I just got in the habit of using my middle finger and sometimes my ring finger, so I could use both of them. And this allows me to switch real quickly to tapping. Here's a quick exercise for you. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tap the 12th fret of the 5th string, pull off to the open, and then hammer onto the 3rd and 5th. Real slow. And we'll do a little bit faster, zooming in onto the tapping finger. For the tap hammer technique, I'm going to pretty much follow the B or 7th position with my tapping finger. And so here I'll be on the 7th fret for most of the tapping. I'll follow that from the 6th string all the way to the 3rd string. The 2nd string I'll go to the 8th fret just to follow the scale pattern, but then back to the 7th fret for the 1st string. And for my playing hand, I'm going to be tapping the open position and following that all the way up through. So instead of playing this, now I'll be tapping the 7th fret and mixing that in with the other notes. In this example, we'll move our tapping finger while our fretboard fingers play the same notes. So starting with the tapping finger, I'm basically playing the notes from the B or 7th scale position. And with my fretboard hand, I'm playing the F position. Here we'll move our fretboard fingers while our tapping finger plays the same note. I'm going to tap the 12th fret starting on the 6th string. I'll pull off to the open note, and then I'll play the 6th string notes from the F position. Tap, open, the 6th string notes for the G position. Tap, open, the A position notes. Tap, open, B position notes. Next I'll go to the A string and repeat the same process. The tap pull hammer. I'm going to tap on the 12th fret. I'm going to pull off to my pinky note here on the 8th fret, pull off to the 7th, pull off to the 5th, pull off to the open, hammer on back to the 5th, 7th, and 8th. And then I'm going to follow that pattern to the next string. I'll use the 12th fret for the tap, 8th, 6th, 5th, open, 5th, 6th, 8th. And then on the 3rd string, 12th, 7, 5, 4, open, 4, 5, 7. There's two ways to tap harmonics. One is to tap the way we've been tapping throughout this section, where you hammer on to the fretboard and pull off to a harmonic. Remember, the harmonic, you're just lightly touching the string above the fret wire there. You're not pushing down or anything like that. You just got your finger right above it to capture the harmonic. So what we're going to do is run through all 6 strings. I'll tap the 12th fret, pull off to the 5th fret, and then tap the 12th fret, pull off to the 7th fret. You'll notice that the 7th fret will ring out a little bit better than the 5th fret. All right, let's give it a try. You can also tap harmonics above the fretted note. This is achieved by tapping the fret wire 5, 7, or 12 frets above a fretted note or chord. So let's play the B note right there on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And if we go up to the 7th fret, and you're going to tap not the fret, it's not a hammer on, you're going to tap the fret wire, and you achieve a harmonic that way. Now go up from the 7th fret, let's go up to the 9th fret, because remember, we could do it 5 frets above a fretted note, we could do it 7 frets above a fretted note. So here's 5, here's 7, and here's 12 frets above. Now you can use this with scale patterns, and you could also use it with chords. This tap hammer technique is applied so the tapping hand follows the movement of the fret hand as it moves down in pitch in movements of 2 and then back up in pitch. So what we're doing is we're taking this pattern here, and then this pattern, then this pattern, all the way down the line. With this tap hammer technique, it's going to be applied so that the tapping hand follows the fret hand as it moves down in pitch, and then the tapping hand will move up in pitch, and the playing hand will follow the tapping hand up in pitch. Here it is slowly. Apply tapping to as many different positions as you could think of. You could leave your fretboard hand in the same spot but move your tapping hand to new positions. You could use your tapping hand on the same fret but move your fretboard hand to different positions. Lengthen or shorten the distance between your tapping and fretboard hands. There are an infinite number of possibilities when it comes to tapping. Spend some serious time exploring the possibilities of this technique. Use your own creativity to combine scale notes, different strings, techniques, applications, rhythms, and even picking techniques along with your tapping. You might recognize this guitar from the cover of Total Scales Techniques and Applications. This is my Gibson Les Paul Standard. It's a 1993 model with a natural maple top. Anyways, let's get on to string bending and use this technique to alter the pitch of a note by bending the string with your fingers. Now, to apply this technique, allow your thumb to hang over the fretboard, over the neck of your guitar, right above your middle finger, right about here. And that's going to give you the leverage you need to bend the strings. And the note you wish to bend, in most cases, should be fretted by your third finger or your ring finger, with your middle finger behind it to give some support, and your index finger just kind of lightly laying across the strings, and that's going to prevent any noise from stray notes. Now, as you get stronger, you'll find that you can use other fingers, like your middle finger, or even your index finger. But for starters, go ahead and use the third finger, middle finger behind it for support, and your index finger just laying across the strings to prevent any unwanted notes from sounding out. To stay in key when bending strings, you must bend in scale degrees. Scale degrees are half steps, whole steps, 1.5 steps, or 2 steps. A half step is equal to 1 fret. So for example, if you're playing the natural scale and you want to bend the B note, you would bend the note half a step to sound the C note, 1.5 steps for a D note, 2.5 steps for an E note. If you bend a string too high, your string will probably break. A 2.5 step bend is usually the highest you'll ever bend a note. Some helpful hints for string bending. For half step bends, play the note you want to bend, then play 1 fret above it. Now go back to the note you want to bend and bend it to that note. For whole step bends, play the note you want to bend, go up 2 frets, back to the note you want to bend, and bend to that note. For 1.5 step bends, start with the note you want to bend, play 3 frets above it, back to the note you want to bend, and bend to that note. This exercise is designed to get your ear used to hearing half-step bends. We're going to play 1 string at a time since each string has different tensions. This will get you used to bending on each string. Starting with the 6th string, keep in mind there's different ways that you can bend a note. You could just bend a note. You could bend it and release it. Or you could pre-bend a note. So that's our next exercise, is the pre-bend. This is a technique for electric guitar. What we're going to do is pick the note with the guitar volume off, increase the volume while you bend the note. When you dump a tremolo bar, things can get really noisy. So to avoid unwanted noise, mute the strings that you're not playing. Also, depending on the type of bar you have, you may be able to raise the pitch of a note by pulling up on the bar. Personally, I prefer to bend a note if I want to raise the pitch. So when I use a tremolo bar, most of the time it's only to use it to lower a pitch. For this open string dive, we're starting on the first string. So what I'll do is I'll take my thumb and come all the way over the top. I'll be covering strings 2 through 6. So the only one ringing out is string 1. And the reason for this is you'll notice when you dump the bar, the strings get really slack. So if you let go of it without touching anything, you get a lot of noise. All the strings will start ringing on their way back up. So what we want to do is for the first string of this exercise, I'm going to take my thumb and cover 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. And then when I'm done, I'll mute the first string and release the bar back up. Now, for the second string, what I'll do is I'll kind of move my thumb back just a hair so that it's covering strings 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'll take my middle finger and lightly touch string 1, and then I'll pick string 2 and dump the bar. And then I'll alter again for string 3. Here's the exercise. Here's a very similar technique, but this time around what we're going to do is pick the note, dive, and then return. And that's it. Well, now that we got those techniques out of the way, let's go ahead and incorporate them with our scale, because after all, scales are what make music. So what I'm going to do here is just a little run, and then I'm going to pull off to an open note, and then I'm going to dive and return. Here we're going to dive on one string and then return on another. Here we're going to dump the bar and sound a note while the string is slack and return the bar to its normal position. The G string seems to get the most slack, and therefore it's the loudest when using dive techniques like this. I also want to point out here that when I've dumped the bar all the way down, I'm actually using my index finger or middle finger to sound the string I want, and then I cover the other strings up, just like this. So let's do it with our tempo. For this technique, we're going to dive on the third string open, and on the way back up, we're going to hit the 5th fret harmonic. So from the low point of the dive, we're just going to touch the harmonic. We're not even going to pick it. The string's already going to be ringing. So on the way up, we're going to just lightly touch it, and you'll be able to hear it a lot more, especially when we have some distortion. Let's do it again and see if I could get it on a clean sound. There you go. And then for the second part of it, we're going to dive again on the open and lightly touch the 7th fret harmonic. And you could do that on any string, any fret that you know you could get a harmonic on. In the last technique, we pick the open note, dump the bar, and then hit the harmonic. On this technique, what we're going to do is a little bit different. We're going to drop the bar, just dump it all the way, and then strike the strings and lightly touch the harmonic. Mute any other strings that you don't want. So for example, we're just going to go ahead, dump the bar all the way down. Let me turn it up. We're going to drop the bar all the way down, so nothing's been picked yet. Strike the strings and lightly touch the harmonic from the lowest point so that it rings out as the bar is coming up. Similar to the increments of 4, this is just an example of the many ways you can incorporate the tremolo bar to your playing. Here we're just going to run up a scale, but we're going to lightly depress the bar for each note. In this technique, we're going to dump the bar all the way down, hammer onto the note we want to sound, and then return the bar to pitch. It doesn't sound out too good on a clear channel, so we're just going to do this one with the distorted channel. Here we're going to take a simple melody line, actually just 3 scale notes in a row. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a dive after the first note and return. Hammer on, dive and return, and then reverse. Pull off, and a dive and return. Here it is without speaking. Recall the hammer pull technique. We're going to take the same technique, but we're going to put a dive and return in between each note. Here it is without speaking. For this next technique, we're going to bend a note, hold it, dip the bar, and then release the bend. This section takes the scale positions we've already learned and applies different harmonies to them. So rather than just play a single run or a single note melody line, now you have the option of adding different harmonies. For example, thirds would be played 1 scale note plus 3 notes up. So starting with an F, G, A would be the third, 1, 2, 3. So you play an F on the 6th string and an A on the 5th string, and that would be your third harmony. You could either strum it, or I prefer picking the top note and plucking the bottom note. When you move up to G, it's going to follow the same pattern. From G, you got G, A, then B is the third, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so you got an F major third, a G major third, and then from the A, the structure changes a little bit. From A, you've got a minor third. You've got A, B, C. A and C make a minor third. So that's the concept behind it. We're just going to take the F position and play it as thirds. And then later we'll get into fourths. So the fourth for G would be C. The fifth for A would be E. And so on and so forth. You get from the fifth, next you get sixths, sevenths, eighths or octaves, ninths or seconds, and you can really keep going. But this is just to give you some foundation so that you yourself can explore playing different melodies as harmonies with double note patterns. Let's start with thirds, and we're going to start at a very slow tempo so you can really hear the harmony and get used to playing along with it. We're starting at 80 BPM. There's two different ways to play the sixth harmony. I'll show you the first one slowly, but I prefer the second one, so we'll spend more time with that. Here it is at 80 BPM.